But here we have most of God's people who have rejected it because it's not easy, but it's just chock full of blessings and wonders that you need in your life to have hope in the future. And there is all kinds of hope in the future. I mean, it's so of such great magnitude that you can't get it in your mind except over years of study. You get more and more and more of it and understand the depth of the riches of Jesus Christ and God the Father, as Paul talked about. This little flock is a tiny flock. It's not a big flock, but let me read that verse to you again. How long, this is verse 22 of Jeremiah 31, how long will you go about, O you backsliding daughter, or you rebelling daughter, your rebellious daughter? For the Eternal, or the Lord, has created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man. Well, how about that? This is an end-time book. Where is that new thing? Now, this is the key to understanding God's end-time church and its work. And I want to give you a few points here and show you that about what this key unlocks. And it is certainly something that is mind-expanding. Number one, the key unlocks how God rules His true church and blesses them. In this new thing on the earth, it reveals how God rules His church and does His work. It unlocks that. Number two, this key unlocks how and why most of God's people rebel against God's government. How do they do that, and why do they do that? What is their problem? Number three, this key unlocks how God uses a man and a little remnant or a woman to do His work. It's a little flock, and yet He does a work that encompasses the whole earth. It's about the whole world. It's about a witness to the whole world. Number four, the key unlocks why the whole world is hurtling toward a world catastrophe. And this little flock has to get that message out to the world and tell them why they're hurtling toward a major catastrophe in this world. There is no good news in this world except this new thing. I'm telling you, this is the hope of humanity. And it gets very practical in how God fulfills it. Number five, this key unlocks a new thing in the world that is the solution to our problems. It will solve all our problems. Do you believe that? Every government on this earth has failed. When are we going to learn that we can't make a government work? Only God can make it work, and God has made His government work for all eternity. God the Father and Jesus Christ, the Father and the Son, have never had a problem with government. Now, this one works, and is proven to have worked over eternity, and that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. But even again, most of God's own people have rejected that. Number six, the key unlocks how you can solve your individual problems. I'm not just saying this, I mean it really, you can get down and solve your individual problems with this new thing. I'm telling you, it does work. God's credibility is on the line. It has to work because God said it would. Number seven, the key unlocks what should be our greatest passion. Remember Christ said in John 4 and verse 34 that I must be about my Father's work and finish that work, and that was His great passion in life. And it should be ours. And it is for the people who are a part of this new thing that's on the earth, that's created on this earth. But again, I just feel like there's more to this verse than we usually comprehend. And you need to study it, and I do even more. We all need to fully understand it, but God just keeps expanding some of these concepts because He is so profound in His own thinking. Number 8 point, this key unlocks that there was a great work before God's church rebelled. I mean, after all, the daughter rebelled against the mother church. What was once taught in that mother church, the daughter rebelled. Most of them, 95% of them, turned away, which means there was an awesome work there before they rebelled. That's also implied and revealed in this verse. And they had a government that really did work before the daughter rebelled, but they rebelled and rejected the rule of God. They rejected God's government. Number 9, the key unlocks how God's very elect raised up the same government that was so successful in the past. They rejected this new thing. Surely this has to be one of the most revealing verses in the Bible. Number 10, this key unlocks how to bring real purpose into your life. It brings real purpose into your life. I'm talking about foundational purpose and joy because you have such a magnificent goal in your life. It does that. This verse is talking about that precisely. How you do it. How you can put your heart in the very work of God and become so successful you won't even believe it yourself in some moments of your life. And number 11, this key unlocks to whom God speaks in this end time and how. To whom God speaks and how. But notice, let's go on down a little further. There's more to this. We have to be practical. And God says in verse 33, notice this, "But this shall be the covenant that I will keep with the house of Israel after those days, says the Eternal. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts and will be their God, and they shall be my people." Well, how about that? They're going to this little group, this new thing, this man compassed with a woman, a church, is going to teach God's law. This is a lawless world. Look around. It's lawless, and it's unraveling because of that. It always comes apart because of that. The many people in the U.S. hate the very Constitution of this land. You know why they hate it? Well, because it's just natural to be lawless. They don't like law. They don't like structure. And they don't realize that when we get away from the supreme law of the land, everything begins to unravel. Everything. Contrary to what people may tell you, that is what happens. One commentator said recently on television, the U.S. is in dire trouble. It is. It is. You know why? Because we don't really keep the law of God, or even try to in most cases. We don't even believe in it in most cases. But it's that new thing that it's a part of that new thing that God has established. I don't care what men say, God is going to prevail here. And you need to know that. Look at the U.S. debt that we have. So much debt, we could never pay it back. You know why? Because we're lawless financially. We're lawless. We have to realize this is all about being lawful or lawless if we're going to make it work. And only God can show us how to do that. Who is it that warns the world about this lawlessness? I'd say most people in this world believe the law, and Christianity believe the law has been done away with. That it's been done away with. The very foundation of everything we should believe has been done away. Christ said He came to fulfill the law, to fill it to the full, and dot every I and cross every T. Matthew 5, verses 17 and 18. A new thing is on this earth, though. A man surrounded by a woman, and they're getting a message out to this world about a coming World War III. And people talk about peace, 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 but it always gets more and more dangerous in this world, doesn't it? But you have to be practical when you talk about a man compassed by a woman. It has to be practical. You do have to have a constitution. You do have to have a law, or it all comes apart. Then you go on in verse 40. Let me just quickly read that to you. "In the whole valley of the dead bodies and of the ashes and of all the fields unto the brook of Kidron and to the corner of the horse gate toward the east shall be holy unto the Lord. It shall not be plucked up nor thrown down any more forever." God is about to solve all these problems with this very new thing that I'm talking to you about. But preceding that are going to be dead bodies, I'm sorry to say, scattered over this earth. And what you see in the Middle East, some people call the Arab Spring, is really a deadly Arab winter that is going to lead to World War III. Just look around at what's happening in Syria and Egypt and Lebanon and Libya and you tell me that's an Arab Spring? It's not an Arab Spring. It's an Arab nightmare, and it's a world nightmare that's going to lead to a bigger nightmare until Jesus Christ gets here and forces us to learn about this new government, this new thing that He's established and created for this earth. He's going to bring peace and joy and understanding to all of humanity. He's going to solve all of our problems, and He's going to get back just before we annihilate all human life on this earth. Matthew 24, verses 21 and 22. But you see, here's the solution to all of that. Here is the solution that God has for us that will solve our collective problems, our individual problems, and bring all kinds of blessings into our lives. That's what we need, the blessings of God. Until next week, this is Gerald Flurry. Goodbye, friends.
Request our free book, The United States and Britain in Prophecy, and our free reprint article, A New Thing. The United States and Britain in Prophecy has been sent to millions of readers. This book contains 14 chapters that will prove to you from your own Bible the modern identity of the lost tribes of ancient Israel. You will also see what Bible prophecy has to say about the future of America, Britain, and the nation of Israel in the Middle East. Our free reprint article will give more insight into how God is building His government on this earth today. God's government will rule this earth after Christ's soon coming return. This is the best news you could ever hear. Request our free book, The United States and Britain in Prophecy, and our free reprint article, A New Thing. Also request your free subscription to our news magazine, The Philadelphia Trumpet. The Trumpet continues to help you understand your world by looking at today's most relevant headlines under the clear light of Bible prophecy. Please visit us online at thetrumpet.com for daily columns and videos. Also visit our new site, thetrumpetdaily.com. On thetrumpetdaily.com, you can view our new daily television program. Thetrumpetdaily.com will help you understand the truths of your Bible. Request our free book, The United States and Britain in Prophecy, and our free reprint article, A New Thing. You will also be sent a free subscription to the Trumpet magazine. All our literature is free and will be sent to you with no cost or obligation. For the free literature, call the number on your screen or visit us at thetrumpetdaily.com. All literature is free and will be sent to you with no cost or obligation. Order your free literature now. If you would prefer to write for today's literature, send your request to The Trumpet Daily, Post Office Box 3700, Edmond, Oklahoma 73083. Don't forget to visit us online at thetrumpetdaily.com. Here you can watch episodes of The Trumpet Daily and download the literature offered. Also, be sure to visit our YouTube channel, The Trumpet Daily.